Today is Wednesday, October 29th, and I'm wondering if you might be wondering what Mark Cuban might be thinking these days about a whole bunch of things.
And now, a word from our title sponsor.
Eyeing retirement? We aim to turn your nest egg into a paycheck with half the amount you've been led to believe. Fluent Financial combines in-house portfolio design risk management with income-generating investments designed to aid your financial independence. Our goal is to develop an effective portfolio strategy to help you retire sooner and have a better lifestyle. Fluent Financial can also implement a program that allows business owners to install a cash balance plan, which may potentially reduce income tax payments. You've worked hard to become successful. Let us help develop an effective portfolio strategy that works for you. Learn more today about Fluent Financial. Retire sooner, better lifestyle. For more information or to schedule a meeting, visit fluentfinancial.com or call 972-852-4800.
Mark Cuban's a self-made billionaire. He sold his first company, Microsoft Solutions, for $6 million at the age of 32. Then he turned broadcast.com into an industry giant. He starred for more than a decade and a half on the very popular TV show Shark Tank. But around here, he's certainly most known for his 24 years as the very visible, controlling interest owner of the Dallas Mavericks. And he sold that controlling interest about 2 years ago. Mark, as always, thank you so much for the time.
Of course, Normie. I owe a lot of this to you. You know, when we started broadcast.com, our first station was 570 KLIF, and people from around the world would literally download all the stuff it took in 1995 on the internet to stream before anybody called it streaming, so they could listen to Dallas sports from Norm Hitzges. So right. You literally were the first sports broadcaster ever to stream on the internet.
Mark, I didn't get my check for 25% of ownership there.
It's in the mail, Norm. It's coming.
Okay. and these days, with the post office, it may be
right. It's not my fault.
You for 24 years had a consuming passion as owner of the Dallas Mavericks. You won a championship with this team in 2011. Can you tell us how it feels now to not be in control of the franchise anymore?
Different. Very, very, very different. Because I still have those instincts, right? Where, you know, this is what I would have done. This is how I would do it. And that's obviously not what's happening. But in terms of my fandom for the Mavs, that's still the same. You know, my head was down the first two games, and I was up cheering yesterday night, and I'll be there tonight when we play OKC, for better or worse. And yeah, it's just a completely different feeling. Before, like, I had in my mind the way I wanted things to progress. And if they did, great. And if they didn't, it was my responsibility to try to fix it and get to the next layer. Now it's just like, okay. And the bad news of it is I would have done things differently, and I feel like I could still do things maybe better. But the good news is, like, if we would lose a game, I wouldn't sleep. And now I sleep better after a game if we lose. And so it's not really something because I can't fix it, so I don't stress over it.
Mark, looking back, do you regret selling?
You know, there's times like February 2nd, I regretted it. But I don't, because I get to spend a lot more time with my family. And, you know, that's why I left Shark Tank as well. I used to worry about if my kids took over, what would it be like, you know, or if something happened to me from a whole trust perspective and estate perspective, what would happen? And now I don't have to worry about those things anymore. And I get to go to my kids' parents' weekends, something I hadn't been able to do before. I get, to drive them around. Well, now my son has his driver's license too, but just go to all their games and do all these things that before, if there was a Mavs game, I felt obligated to be there and wanted to be there. And I thought I'd catch up with it on, as my kids got older. Now I don't have to stress about that.
It appears that the Mavericks have begun in earnest to look for a new location to build an arena to open in 2031. Do you have any particular location in mind you'd like them to have?
I mean, I want them to be in Dallas, most importantly. And, every conversation I've had with Patrick Dumont, he's agreed that's where they want to go or stay. I'd like to see it close to downtown because I think it'd be great for it. There are different areas, down by our practice facility. There's places you could put it. There's a bunch of places, but I'm not involved in that at all. I just want to see it stay in Dallas. I want it to be convenient for everybody here.
Given that these are, I don't want this to be a negative term at all. Given that the new owners are hotel and casino people, wouldn't they need a lot of room? Because wouldn't that be the ultimate plan to put around this arena?
Sure, and it takes about 55 acres, give or take. But even within, right around the practice facility, the arena, there's spaces that you can find there. There are things that are older that could be torn down, or there's empty space, on the south side. There's all kinds of places where you can find 50 some acres. So in the city proper. So I think, there'll be opportunities there, but they haven't shared their plans with me.
Will you ever try again to buy a professional sports franchise?
Kind of the way things turned out, maybe, that could happen. But, it would just depend because my 16-year-old son was the most disappointed when everything changed. And even my daughters were disappointed too. So, I'd consider it, but it wouldn't be the same, obviously.
What if in your native Pittsburgh, the Steelers or Pirates or Penguins should become available?
Maybe the Pirates, just because it will stop all the emails I get every day asking me to buy the Pirates. And I don't know that they're for sale. I've had different people come to me asking me if I'd be interested if they were able to put together a deal. And like anything, I said if the price is right. But it would be fun. I mean, I'm not near the baseball fan that I am basketball fan. But I still, I still feel that pang of Pittsburgh sports, that every kid grows up with their hometown sports. And so, yeah, I don't know if the Penguins or I couldn't afford the Steelers probably, but if the Pirates came up, maybe.
How many times over the years have people tried to get you involved in buying a franchise?
Oh, to this day, right? I mean, it happens all the time. And now I'm involved in a private equity fund called Harbinger Sports, where they buy minority equity in teams. And so even more so now. But in terms of, being a minority owner, only if it was to save a franchise and here are the hometown. Majority owner, it'd have to be an NBA team or like the Pirates.
How much do you miss being part of that big stage, the fans, the excitement, the ups and downs, the giddiness of winning a championship?
I mean, I don't really miss it all that much because, like, when I go to the games, everybody still recognizes me, sees me, and treats me as if I were, recognizes me as still was the owner. So that's all fine and good. But I miss, like, I was thinking about it the other day. We were making our comeback against the Wizards that fell short. And I was thinking to myself, in the past, if there was a game-winning shot at the buzzer, I could run on the court, and dogpile with all the guys and not get arrested. I was like, I wonder if I'd get arrested now. I don't know. People don't realize that's the best part. Like you can see Norm, the Larry O'Brien back there. But the best part about it was when there was a game-winning shot, being able to run out in the court. That was my favorite moment always with the Mavs, more so than the championship. The championship was great, but running out on the court and being able to dive on the court and everybody, that's the coolest thing ever.
Mark, in the more than 30 years since you sold Microsystems, Can you give us even a ballpark figure on the number of companies you've owned and sold?
That I've started, probably 6 or 7. That I've invested in and been involved with, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. You know, I've been really fortunate, and I think I'm good at business. And so I really enjoy trying to invest in and help entrepreneurs, which is why I did Shark Tank, you know, because it allowed me not only to help entrepreneurs that I invested in, but to send people who watched the show and now all the reruns get to see over and over again that the American dream is still alive and well, that this is still the best country on the planet when it comes to people letting their dreams come true.
How many people still email you things trying to get you to buy something?
Oh, all the time. I still get just as many emails as I've ever gotten. That doesn't slow down at all. I mean, I've still, like costplusdrugs.com, that was from a cold email. And so I'm still getting them all the time. And I like it, right? I read the first paragraph, and you know how it shows the summary when your email comes up? And I read that. And if it's interesting, I'll read the rest. And if not, I hit the delete key. That takes 2 seconds.
So how many of those do you think you get a week? 3, 10?
Oh, no, pitches? Oh,
Yeah.
my God. 20 a day?
Whoa,
Yeah.
20 a day?
Oh, yeah, easily, if not more.
Oh,
Mark, I have this idea. So anybody who's ever going to write me, let me just tell you, if you start off with, I have an idea, I immediately hit delete, because I don't care about ideas. I care about businesses. I get so many of those, Norm.
Shark Tank made you so very visible. Do you still get people who come up to you in airports or restaurants or whatever and try to
In
sell you
restrooms, yeah, you name it. They'll come up to me anywhere and pitch me. And particularly in an elevator where they know they've got me cornered. Oh, my God. It's fun. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it can be brutal sometimes. As I had one guy chase me down, you know, in an elevator to tell me about his yogurt store. And it actually wasn't a bad company or bad idea, but I was like, I was with my wife and I just got done working out and I was like, nasty. And I was like, okay, you know, here's my email me.
Mark, I don't know if one comes to mind here, but is there a weirdest idea you've ever gotten by email?
Oh, yeah. And it was early on in my Mavs days. This is the one I always remember. Somebody sent me a sketch that had a guy with an Afro wig that was like 3 feet tall that he said a player could run in. So if I only bought them for the Mavs, then they would go from 6'5" to 8'5" or 7 foot to 9 foot. And, you know, the hair would be up by the rim and they could block shots with their head and their hair. That was the best ever. Best, not even close.
In 2022, you launched a huge new idea, Cost Plus Drugs, with the aim of lowering generic prices on drugs in this country. Are you able to do that?
Yep. The answer is yes. So, you know, if you go to costplusdrugs.com, what makes us dramatically different than any other pharmacy, mail order, or at all, is when you put in the name of your medication, if it's one of the thousands that we carry, and we carry brands, not all, but brands in almost every generic, when it comes up, we'll show you our actual cost. So if it's, you know, a cancer drug like a imatinib or whatever it may be, we'll show you what we pay for it. We'll show you that our markup is only 15%, so that's fair. And then if it's mail order, it's $5 that goes to the pharmacist and $5 for shipping and handling. Or now we have the option for you to pick it up at a local pharmacy like Dougherty's or Kroger's or others so that you can pick it up there as well. And we completely changed the industry. We've helped millions of people over the years, Norm, and our business just keeps on growing and growing and growing.
How much do the drug companies dislike you greatly?
No, actually, the manufacturers like us a lot.
Really?
Because we make their medications cheaper for patients, which is a good thing. The middlemen hate us. There's this thing called pharmacy benefit managers. They're the ones that kind of distort all the pricing and make it expensive for patients. They despise us. They talk crap about us, you name it. They have nothing good to say. They put all these fake press releases out that, like one of them put out a press release 2 days ago that said, we're cheaper than cost plus drugs, and here's the proof. And there's a study that came out, a new study that came out. Well, the new study was from June of 2024 that used data from 2023 when we first launched, within a year of when we first launched. And this is like a company that has hundreds of billions of dollars in sales, and they're talking crap about us and basically lying. That shows you how much, not only that they dislike us, but how much we're disrupting their business.
This year, President Donald Trump launched his own company, TrumpRx. Has that had much of an impact on you?
Well, that hasn't really launched yet, but we'll work with them. I'll work with anybody that allows us to get less expensive medications to patients. That's our mission, right? Nothing else really matters to us, as long as it's honest, et cetera, et cetera. And so with TrumpRx, they'll launch next year at some point, and we'll give them what's called our API, our Advanced Programming Interface, which allows them to pull the prices from costplusdrugs.com every single night. And so wherever we're cheaper, people hopefully will use us. So it's good for us, good for patients, good for TrumpRx. And you know what? If he gets all the credit, he can tell everybody it's the most stupendous, amazing, program ever created. No one's ever seen anything like it. They'll save 1,000%. Good for him, as long as patients benefit. And that's all I care about.
Mark, I believe we can count on him saying that.
Yep.
At times, you have flirted with the possibility of running for president. Is that idea still alive in you at all?
Maybe a smidgen. I don't want to, but the only way that I would consider it strongly is if by some chance, they changed the rules and he tried to run for a third term. If, he tries to run for a third term, then all bets are off and something else is going on. But if he doesn't, then there's plenty of candidates that are as good as me, if not better.
Has politics ever been dirtier in this country?
Yeah, it's messy. It really, really is messy. I hate both parties. If it were up to me, I'd get rid of the Democrats and the Republicans and make everybody just think for themselves. The whole idea that it's party over country is just not what I like. It's antithetical to the way I think. And both parties don't really try to get results for people. They just want more power for their party. And that's what disturbs me more than anything. Obviously, healthcare is a big issue. And when you talk to politicians, and I just testified at the Senate a couple of days ago, they talk a good game, but when it comes down to actually doing something, it doesn't get done, and they'll pass superficial laws. And it's because the biggest companies in the country are now healthcare companies. They're insurance companies that own PBMs, that own pharmacies, that own, physicians, that, own care companies. They're just so vertically integrated and enormous that they can give as much money as they want to anybody. And so I think trying to change all of that is something that they should be able to do, but don't. And that leaves it to entrepreneurs like us to try to figure it out. But yeah, I hate the way politics are done right now. It's just awful.
Isn't your set of comments there part and parcel of why we have a shutdown?
Yeah, because, each side wants to win and they ignore the American people that are getting hurt by all this. Families that are going to lose their benefits, their insurance, so much more, just the stress that it causes. Look, if I ever did run, my number one thing would be going around the country and just asking people point blank, how can I reduce your stress? And everything we see the Democrats and the Republicans do for the past however many years increases people's stress. Nobody looks at things that are being said by politicians these days and says, wow, my life is definitely better because of this. There's just everything has an angle to it, and that's just wrong.
The current Trump policies are viewed by a great many people as being beneficial only to billionaires. Well, you're in that group. Is that assessment of his policies correct?
Yeah, there's different types of billionaires, right? He's not helping my businesses at all. I haven't looked to see what the impact on my taxes would be because I just not something I ever pay attention to. I just do, what I think is right. But and I don't want to make it seem like I disagree with everything that he does, right? I like what he's done with the border. I like that the border is effectively closed. I like the fact that he is deporting real criminals. I hate the fact that he's deporting U.S. citizens and grandmas and grandpas. We don't need to, there should be a list of the murderers and rapists that are here illegally. And we should just go, like the FBI is most wanted, and just go down there and check those off and, do everything possible to get them out of the country. And I'm not even opposed to when he wants to, help reduce crime in cities, but I'm opposed to how he's going about it. Mm-hmm. If Joe Biden called up a mayor of a city and said, look, I know you don't have any more funding for police. I have this idea where we might send in the National Guard with your support and put it in areas where you have the most crime. And let's see if we can work together to reduce crime. The mayors would probably say yes. But when, the president says your city is effectively a dump and there's too much crime and you don't know what you're doing and you're an idiot, and I'm sending in the National Guard, he's so contentious from minute one, it becomes counterproductive. And so you see all the protests and everything else that goes on. And it doesn't have to be that way. And so, there's things that I may agree with. I just don't like his approach. I'd rather see somebody that, and like I said, if it were me, and it won't be, but if it were me, you want to make things so that everybody gets on the same page and that it works from a positive perspective. You don't, and I understand what he's doing. He's trying to make things seem so bad that his real followers, think that only he can fix it. Well, that's not the way it should be in this country. We are for the people, by the people, and that's the way it always should be. And we should be trying to bring people together and trying to, rally people to our common interest, which is the benefit, to helping people in this country. And he just doesn't think that way. And that's unfortunate.
Two final topics for you, Mark. First, you still own a solid piece of the Dallas Mavericks. Would you ever consider selling that?
Yeah, I would consider selling a piece of it. I'd probably end up keeping the way the contract's structured. I can still make more money off of it and still sell that piece, but I'd probably keep at least 7%. When I kept the 27%, it was because I thought I would be running basketball and it'd be beneficial to me to have that bigger percentage, just how people would perceive it. But I'm not running basketball, so I don't have that necessity anymore. So I could sell it, and obviously, if I bought another basketball team, then I'd have to sell it. And I'm not saying I will, but if I did,
does that still bother you that what you thought was going to be your role running basketball didn't wind up being that?
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah, and the people who kind of undermine me bother me even more. But I didn't get along great with Ross Perot when I first bought the team for a variety of reasons, but I don't dislike him or don't hate anybody. And, there's people now that are in the basketball side that I don't have any relationship with, but I don't hate them, but I'm disappointed, I guess is the best way to put it.
And finally, do you ever see yourself actually retiring, or do you just love the action of the business arena too much?
Yeah, my life, I love to compete. And if I ever stop, and to me, business is the ultimate sport. You're always competing. There's always a new technology. There's always some 12, 14, 16, 18, 20-year-old kid that's trying to kick my ass in the business world. And I went from, being the youngest walking in the room when I first got started to being the oldest when I walk in the room. And so I just love that juice of it. I love that competition, just like you haven't stopped. You adapt, but you don't want to stop because the mind keeps on racing and the ideas are always there. And as long as I think I can do it better, I'll keep on doing it.
Mark, thank you. Be very well. God bless you, your family, and your work. What do you want from your favorite restaurant? Fantastic personal service? A cheery, welcoming, spotless atmosphere? And, of course, great food. The primest of beef, wagyu and lamb, incredibly fresh seafood, lobster, salmon, shrimp. Hall of Fame food from a Hall of Fame restaurant. 2 locations of Bob's Steak and Chop House, the original Bob's on Lemon Avenue, and the gorgeous new Bob's at Craig Ranch, McKinney. My wife Mary is the co-creator of Full Moon Healing Balm, and I guess I'm the reason this terrific cream was developed. A few years ago, I began getting these huge, ugly blood blotches just beneath the skin of my arms and hands. The condition's called senile purpura. And no, you don't have to be senile to experience this embarrassment. It happens as you age. And then to cover it up, we begin wearing long sleeves even when it's hot. It took 2 years working with a New Jersey lab to refine the all-natural ingredients of Full Moon Healing. Gently massage a very small amount into the skin, and within a day, the blotches begin to fade. Senile purpura usually takes weeks to disappear, but this balm cuts the timeline to about a week. And ordering's so easy. Just go to the website, fullmoonhealingco.com. We have very good news for you here on Just Wondering with Norm Hitzges. We're about to become a television show. Every Thursday night at 7:30, starting this Thursday, Just Wondering will air as a TV show. So check it out. Channel 27, every Thursday at 7:30, starting this week.
And now a word from our title sponsor. Today's episode has been brought to you by Fluent Financial, Retire Earlier, Live Better, and by Bob's Steak and Chop House on Lemon in Dallas and in Craig Ranch in McKinney. Bob's, a Dallas tradition for more than 30 years.
If you've enjoyed Just Wondering, please hit follow, and a fresh new episode will land in your mailbox early every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning. Should you know a sports fan who might like our work, please share our contact information with that person. Just Wondering is technically directed by my wife Mary, who is also occasionally a talent on the show. It's produced by Mike Matern, edited and posted by Ashley Bullington. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Just Wondering. I'm Norm Hitzges, and know that every day I'll be just wondering about something.
And I'm Mary Hitzges, and I'll just be wondering too.
This is a Stolen Water Media production.